Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to New Wave Global. I'm Rabia Mehmood. Today we are in front of you again with the continuation of our coverage of the Palestine story. On Friday morning, or rather Friday afternoon, the International Court of Justice, the UN's top court, the World Supreme Court, if I can call it that, announced the interim ruling on the case of South Africa versus Israel, and they have called for provisional measures and have said that yes, there is a plausible risk that Israel is committing genocide in Palestine or in Gaza, and of course, calling for provisional measures. They have called for cessation of hostilities, but not exactly an immediate ceasefire, what the people were expecting, and South Africa had also asked for a suspension of the military campaign and a halt to bombing immediately. And of course, understandably so, people in Palestine and in Gaza are disappointed because the bombing continues. In fact, 174 people have been killed within the past 24 hours in Gaza. So to understand what has happened, we have a very, very special guest. Our guest is a foremost expert on the issue that we're going to be speaking about. He's an international law expert. He's also an expert on these kind of cases. Professor Francis Boyle, who is a professor of international law at the University of Illinois College of Law. And he has also, he was, I believe, the first person to have taken a case to the ICJ and applying the Genocide Convention. In his case for Bosnia against Yugoslavia, he has also served as a legal advisor and counsel to the Palestinian Authority and to Bosnia and Herzegovina. And he has written extensively on these issues and also on Palestine. We saw weeks before the interim ruling was announced, he gave an interview to Democracy Now!'s Amy Goodman and said that South Africa had a very strong case. So we're very happy that Professor Boyle has joined us and taken time out to speak to us. Welcome to New Wave Global, Professor. Thanks for joining. We've given a short introduction, but a lot of people do not understand what the ICJ's role is, what can it do to prevent the suffering in Palestine at the moment. And there are people who understand the historic value of what is happening, but they are still confused. Can you tell us what exactly does it mean, the court's interim ruling?
Well, assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for having me. I'm my best to all my friends in Pakistan there. I want to clarify, not only was I the first lawyer to win an order from the World Court on the Genocide Convention for my clients at that time, the Republic of Bosnia-Herzegovina against Yugoslavia, that was massive and overwhelming in favor of the Bosnians. But I then won that second order to the same effect, massive and overwhelming. That was the first time ever that any lawyer had won two such orders in one case since the World Court was founded in 1921. And then I won a third order from the president of the court under Article 74, paragraph 4 of the rules of the court. So I won three orders on genocide in under 6 months, single-handedly by myself. So yes, for that reason, having reviewed the application and request for provisional measures of protection by South Africa, I predicted they were going to win. And sure enough, they won a massive, overwhelming order from the World Court, most votes 15-2, some 16-1, that Israel must cease and desist from committing all acts of genocide against the Palestinians. This is along the lines of the measures I won against Yugoslavia twice, massive, overwhelming to cease and desist from committing all acts of genocide against the Palestinians. Now, in addition, I won't go through it all here, but there is also 15 votes to 2, the state of Israel shall ensure with immediate effect that its military does not commit any of the acts described in the first order, the first provisional measure. And that's basically a de facto call for a ceasefire right there. So when you add up provisional 1 and provisional 2, you have a de facto call for a ceasefire right there. There's really no way Israel can continue to conduct any hostilities after this order, consistent with this order.
Okay, so you're saying you're interpreting it as a de facto call for ceasefire. So what do you have to say to the group of activists who are saying that they're confused, or that Israel is still carrying out its the campaign, and they're saying that they are disappointed. Of course, people do not understand the technicalities of the law, but how can we tell them that no, this is a ceasefire or this is a cessation of hostilities and immediately?
Yes, well, I was Bosnia's ambassador to the World Court for almost a year and dealt with them quite extensively and spent 4 days arguing before them to win those orders. And the World Court is highly technical and positivistic. So they could not order a ceasefire against Hamas because Hamas is not a party to the lawsuit. And so for that reason, they provided the next best thing, which is if you read the 2 first provisional measures, 15 to 2, it's a de facto call for a ceasefire. Well, the significant point here is that the court ordered a report for a month, indicating that they are going to continue to supervise the matter. And I think that that's important. Now, I had the same problem with Yugoslavia, like Israel today. They paid no attention at all to the order. So it will be up to the global South to figure out how this order will be enforced. Under the terms of the United Nations Charter, the court issues an order, but it's up to the Security Council to enforce it. It's just like when you go to court there in Lahore and you get a judgment from a judge and the defendant does not comply, you don't ask the judge to enforce the order, you go to the sheriff. So under the UN Charter, the Security Council is the sheriff. I just read Algeria will be convening a meeting of the Security Council on Wednesday to enforce this order. We'll have to see what happens there.
Yes, there is. I was also reading news that there's going to be a meeting next week at the UNSC. So what are some of the other steps which can be taken? You have said that, yes, it is up to the global South, and we have to see what more, South Africa and other countries are going to be doing. But what else and what more can be done? I was looking at one of the comments by you about the role of the UNGA or what the countries can do on that front. Can you speak to us a little about that?
Sure. Well, first of all, what Pakistan can do now is sue Israel for genocide at the International Court of Justice. I would not recommend Pakistan ask for an emergency hearing, request for provisional measures of protection. We already have that. But Pakistan can sue Israel. All Pakistan has to do is take the application by the Republic of South Africa, which is outstanding. I've reviewed it, and change the name from Republic of South Africa to the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and file it. that would be my advice now to your government, to your prime minister and your government. Yes, Pakistan can do something.
Okay, to Pakistan and other countries which have, which are allies of Palestine. So, can you also shed some light on what this verdict, the interim ruling by the ICJ, means for allies and supporters of Israel and countries which have given it enormous amounts of money and funding, like Germany, the US, Canada, the UK, and the EU.
Yes, under Article 3, paragraph E of the Genocide Convention, to which these states are parties, they are all guilty of complicity
Mhm.
in Israeli genocide against the Palestinians, which is a crime, an international crime in its own right under the Genocide Convention. They have been, as you correctly pointed out, aiding and abetting and assisting Israel in its genocide against the Palestinians. So it's that simple. They're criminals.
Okay, and so now Israel is going to be standing trial for committing or allegedly committing genocide in Palestine, and these countries are also party to what's going to be happening in the court.
Well, they have not been sued yet. They could be.
Okay.
But as the Foreign Minister Pandor pointed out in her press conference after getting the order, she implied that they were guilty as complicitors
Mm.
in Israeli genocide against the Palestinians. Now, of course, she was very diplomatic, as should be the case. She didn't mention them by name, but everyone knew she was talking at least about the United States, the UK, Canada, and Germany.
Yes, and I think this is could be a segue into the other, question I was going to ask you. I mean, to get your comment about the recent development, that as soon as the ICJ verdict was announced and the world was focusing on that, not the, I mean, selectively, but we had this announcement by the US and Israel and Canada, and today UK has joined them, of suspending UNRWA's funding, because there are allegations that 12 of the UN's, supporting refugee supporting agency in the occupied Palestinian territories, 12 of their members or their staffs, not members, were involved in October 7 attacks against Israel. So, and they have decided to just suspend funding at this time when humanitarian aid is so much needed and support is so much needed in Gaza. How do you see that?
Yes, all this has been coordinated. It's no coincidence by Israel, the United States, Canada, etc. This is done maliciously and deliberately against the Palestinians. If you read the accounts, first of all this is so-called evidence is all of a sudden out of nowhere produced by the Israeli spooks. And that's that. No one's seen it.
Mm.
Second, there was no due process of law given to the 7 individuals who were fired. They were just summarily fired. And then third, summarily cutting off the support for UNRWA is an act of genocide by the and deliberate in support of Israel by the United States, Canada, and the UK at least. And let me read here. This is from Article 2, paragraph C of the Genocide Convention. deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. That is exactly what the United States, UK, Canada are doing here to the Palestinians. There's no excuse at all for them to cut off money for UNRWA that's feeding the Palestinians and providing them food and shelter and everything else. So it's clear an act of genocide under Article 2C of the Genocide Convention by these states. Yes. And this is all being done in support of Israel and their campaign of genocide against the Palestinians.
So this is, you're saying, I was based on your expert opinion, this itself is, the suspension of aid is itself an act of genocide. So one question, which is a layperson question, and I also put this to forward to Hina Jilani, who was part of Operation Castled's fact-finding mission of the UN. She's a Pakistan international law expert and human rights law expert, former chairperson of Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, and she had said that, you know, Israel is a rogue state. But I did ask her about the non-compliance, like that, why is it so difficult to get compliance from Israel on anything? Yeah, so that's my question to you as well. I mean, it's signatory genocide convention.
They have the full support of the United States government, which, as we know, is the 800-pound gorilla of international relations. And Israel is the attack dog of the United States there in the Middle East. It's that simple.
It's that simple. Okay. And so now that we have you here, we also want to ask you about International Criminal Court, which is the other court which people do not have a lot of expectations from. We know that international rights organizations have gone to ICC with their cases in the past. And for instance, the Reporters Sans Frontier has gone to ICC on targeting of Palestinian journalists. This is just an example, but you have commented on the ICC in your previous interviews. Can you also explain to us their role or the lack of role they have played in this, when it comes to the case of Palestine?
Right. First, I want to correct the record. I serve as a legal advisor to the state of Palestine and its president, Mahmoud Abbas. He is president of the state of Palestine. And after Operation Cast Lead in 2009, I recommended to President Abbas that he accept the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court on behalf of Palestine and the Palestinians, which he did do. This was 2009. Now, since 2009, the ICC has not done one damn thing to help the Palestinians. Not one. Deliberately and on purpose and maliciously. And I hold the ICC to account for all the death and destruction that has been inflicted on the Palestinians since 2009 after Operation Cast Lead. If the ICC had started indicting high-level Israeli officials, both civilian and military, after Operation Cast Lead, maybe all this could have been avoided. So that's my experience dealing with the ICC. Remember, that's 15 years, and they haven't done anything. They are worthless, rotten, and corrupt.
Quickly, just one comment on this case in the US, where there are Palestinians, Palestinian Americans who have accused President Biden of complicity in genocide. And they testified in the federal court yesterday, I believe, or it was a day before yesterday. I mean, this week. Can you comment about that for our viewers?
Well, I'm not involved in that lawsuit, but friends of mine, attorneys filed at the Center for Constitutional Rights and the National Lawyers Guild. I was busy dealing with the World Court Order yesterday, so I was not able to follow those proceedings in federal court. But I did read all of the complaint. It's a meritorious complaint against Biden, Blinken, and Austin, the Secretary of Defense, for aiding and abetting genocide against the Palestinians in violation of the Genocide Convention, to which the United States government is a party, and also in violation of the U.S. government's own domestic implementing legislation known as the Genocide Convention Implementation Act. And by the way, Biden, when he was in the Senate, sponsored the Genocide Convention Implementation Act. So he knows full well what he's doing is criminal.
So you're saying that this case, again, this lawsuit in the US has significance?
Of course, and merit. The problem is that the federal judiciary is reluctant to make a ruling against the president to stop a war, to stop what he's doing. But we'll see how this works out. But all I want your viewers to understand, this is a highly meritorious lawsuit, and it's very important.
Okay. Professor Boyle, thank you so much for joining us and explaining what happened at the ICJ and what's going to happen, what can happen, and giving advice and recommendations to the government of Pakistan as well. Thank you for speaking to us, and thank you to our viewers for watching our show. Khuda Hafiz.
Well, again, thank you very much.